When we talk about agriculture, most people think that it's just to grow plants and raise animals. But agriculture is a concept more complex than that. Agriculture is the base of the global economy and our survival. Without the food, we can live, and without the farmers, we can have enough food in our homes. That's the important rule of agriculture. Around the world, there is a lot of practices of agriculture with different focus. Some techniques are used from ancient times, and some of these are more recent. Some respond to the principle to produce as much as possible without taking care to the effects of the environment and the help of the society, and that's why agriculture is responsible and it is affected as well from the climate change and the greenhouse effect. That's why they have been developed new techniques or practices of producing in agriculture, but being responsible to the environment with the biodiversity and giving healthy food to the customers. So, one example of this is the sustainable agriculture. Agriculture often places a significant pressure on natural resources and environment. So sustainable agriculture practices are intended to protect the environmental, expanding the air's natural resources base, and to maintain and improve the soil fertility. So what is sustainable agriculture? In agriculture, sustainability is a complex idea with many facets, including the economy. A sustainable farm should be profile business to contribute to a robust economy. The social part, because it should deal fairly with workers, have a mutual beneficial relationship with the surrounding communities, and the environmental part. So there are some principles that we can apply when we are talking about sustainable agriculture. For example, the selection of species and varieties that are well sustained to the site and the condition of the farms. Another can be the diversification of crops, including livestock, and cultural practices to exchange the biological and economic stability of the farm. Another can be the management of the soil to exchange and protect soil quality. Another, the efficient and human use of the inputs and the consideration of farmers' goal as livestock choices. So, since talking about sustainable agriculture, there are some principal goals. For example, productivity, to grow enough food and fiber to meet the humans' need. Stewardship, to exchange the quality of the land, water, and air, and make the most efficient use of the non-renewable resources. Another is the profitability, to maintain the economic viability of the farm and ranches, that is very important, and the quality of the lives, to promote the resilience and well-being of the producers, their families, and the society as whole. So there are some best practices talking about sustainable agriculture. For example, the marketing. A diversity of marketing techniques can make a farm more resilient to market fluctuation or unexpected production challenges. And this is very common talking about agriculture because we are producing plants, we are producing animals, so we can have fluctuations. Another can be the social resilience, because agriculture is both hard work and a way of life, and it is critical that our farmers, farm workers, and farm families are driven. Another can be the ecological pest management, because the ecological strategies producer use to limit pest damage, including exchanging the biodiversity of the farm, using practices that create a healthy crop habitat, applying pesticide carefully and as a last resource, and reducing of farm inputs. Another is the climate resilience, and it is in many ways the principle of sustainable work as a strategy for managing the risk associated with erratic weather and climate change, and to emphasize the soil health in both crop and livestock operation, crop rotation, and increased biodiversity. This is an example. Another is the nutrient management. In this case, well managing and property upland a farm nutrient sources such as manure and leguminous cover crop, that is the most common, boil soil, protect water quality, and reduce the purchase fertilizer cost. Another is the rotational grazing and pasture management. In this case, sustainability livestock operation come in many shapes and size, but they have one thing in common. They are carefully managed their livestock on regeneration and pasture in order to simulate or maintain the health of the land, to exchange the quality of their forage and meet their business goal. Another is the conservation tile and soil healthy. In this case, conservation tile of doing healthy soil conservation practices such as strip till or no-till help prevent soil loss from wind and water erosion. Another is the cover crops and soil healthy. Growing plants such as rice, cover of beds after harvesting, and cash crop can provide multiple benefits, for example, including weed and insect suppression, erosion control, carbon storage, and improved soil health. Another example of this is on-farm energy conservation and production. Farmers and ranchers are using energy-saving devices, wind turbines, and solar power. We'll also learning how to grow and produce their own food. These practices not only make farmers more profiled, clean, and efficient, they help to reduce dependence for foreign oil and reduce greenhouse gas emission. Another example of this, or subitem of agriculture, is the regenerative agriculture. So, what is regenerative agriculture? Regenerative agriculture describes farming and grazing practices that, among other benefits, resolving climate change by rebuilding soil organic matter and restoring the great soil biodiversity, resulting in both carbon drawdown and improving the water cycle. So, why regenerative agriculture? The loss of the world fertility and soil and biodiversity, along with the loss of indigenous seeds and knowledge, pose a mortal threat to our future survival. According to the soil scientific, at current rates of soil destruction, for example, decarbonization, erosion, desertification, chemical pollution, with the 7 years we will not only suffer serious damage to public health due to quality degree, uh, food supply characterized by diminished nutrition and loss of important trace mineral. But we will literally no longer have enough arable topsoil to feed ourselves. So we have to take care about the air that we already have in production. So, how does it work? The key to regenerative agriculture is that it's not only does no harm to the land but improves it using technologies that regenerate and revitalize the soil and the environment. And regenerative agriculture lends to healthy soil capable of producing with quality nutrients dense food while simultaneously improving rather than degrade land and ultimately then to productive farms and healthy communities in economies. It is a dynamic and holistic incorporation in permaculture and organic farming practices, including conservation tillage, cover crops, cover rotation, composting, mobile animals, shelters, and pasture cropping to increase food production, farmers, income, and especially topsoil. There is a comparison circle that we can. So this is regenerative agriculture. A comparison when we include a lot of things. So there are a lot of examples of regenerative agriculture practices. For example, aquaculture, that is the production of of fish, but in water bodies, but in control. Another example of this is the agroecology that that is very important right now in agriculture. That is Another is agroforestry, that is the production of agriculture production and forest production. Biochar, compost, we can use the trash of the food and things like that, and we can incorporate this to the soil and give nutrients to it. The holistic plant grazing, the pasture cropping, the perennial crops, silvopastoral, that is very common, that is the production of one, but in a forest. We can say that a global shift to regenerative agriculture can feed the world, decrease the greenhouse emission, reserve climate changes, improve yields, create drought-resistant soils, prevent traditional knowledge and natural resources, and restore the knowledge. So, another subtopic of agriculture is the biological control. Biological control of pests, weeds, and disease is an integral part of um, an integral part of successful integration pest management plan. Biological control is the managing of pests using their natural enemies. That is the novel from the biological control agent. And a biological control agent is an organism such as virus, insect, or plant disease. So, what is biological control? Biological control is a concept of integrated pest management strategy, and it is defined as the reduction of the pest pollution by natural enemies and typically involves an active human role. Keep in mind that all insect species are also supported by natural occurring organisms and environmental factors with no human inputs. This is frequently reserved to a natural control. So, biological control agents, so an example of these are the predators. We can say that such as ladybees and lacewings are mainly free-living species that consume a large number of prey during their lifetime. Another is the parasitoids, that are species whose immature stage develops within a single insect host, ultimately killing the host. Many species of wasps and some flies are parasitoids. And the last are the pathogens. In this case, are disease causing organisms including bacteria, fungus, and viruses, and they kill or debilitate their hosts and are referently species specific to certain insect groups. So, the most important thing here is that we have to maintain the biological control, the natural enemies in the nature. Each of these natural enemies group in this course is much greater detail in following sections. The conversation of the natural enemies is probably the most important and really able biological control practices able to the growers. Natural enemies occurring in all production systems. So, from the back garden to the commercial field, they are adapted to the local environment and to the target pest, and their conservation is generally simple and cost effective. So, with the relative literal effort, the activity of these natural enemies can be observed. So this is all, and this is the biology with the pages when I take the information for this presentation. Thank you very much.